If you lose this match, you have to delete the video.
Right. Hey everyone, this is Curb and I bring you another standard match. Today we have myself on the right, piloting my Messiah build. I'm actually going to be playing it this time. And on the left I'm going to be going up against Youthberk, one of the big three of the meta. So now we do actually see Youthberk opting to play Spiral Cutie, which I'll just go on and say it. I think that's kind of just a mistake. Just because, yes, Youthberk does amass a lot of soul, but in order to get to that lot of soul, you do actually need to keep that soul for the early game. Using Spiral Cutie kind of keeps you out of being able to use things like Vergosa, and not being able to use Vergosa just kind of makes it that much worse. It makes it that the deck that less consistent, and you need those consistency pieces. Anyways, we do see myself riding up into the Sleep Messiah, calling the Bowl Mine behind the Vanguard, just so I have a little bit of extra pressure there, and it turns out it does end up paying off because I do actually hit that critical trigger, pushing Youthberk to 2. So definitely what I want to be doing in this instance, because I want to finish this match as quickly as possible, preferably by my second stride, and in order to do that I do need to push for damage. So we do see another bit of a misplay, I think, here. We discard the Corneo, or Corneo, whatever her name is, and we should have probably done the search and just kind of deck thin before we use the grade 1 youth skill there. We did see an actual whiff off of there. Probably was like 3 triggers. I think you could have made an argument to at least just like call a trigger depending on what you have in hand. Like if you don't have a what's her face, Sequana, to call behind the Vanguard, you might as well just call a trigger there just to add on a little bit of extra pressure. Now there was actually a little bit of a cut here. I don't know what happened with my recording, but it kind of just stopped. So what we actually missed here is he swung with the grade 2 youth, actually flipped over trigger, and that dealt me 2 damage. You can see 2 triggers in my damage zone, just being wasted there. I rode up to grade 2. I swung with the Bubble Mine. I actually activated the Refurbishment Dock, swung with the Bubble Mine, didn't get anything off of the drive check. Put the Bubble Mine to soul because if I didn't use it, I was going to lose it. So might as well get my counter charge back. Keep a clear board so that at least I don't minus as hard when we go into the full blast. Anyways, getting into the turn, we are just riding up to grade 2 here. I believe we discarded what was that? I think we discarded a Spiral Cutie, and then we used the grade 2 youth skill to add it back, which is very interesting. I don't really think that's a great play, but yeah, I guess it doesn't matter because we're going to be using youth skill to discard Carino and then call another Carino, meaning we're going to get the last 2 rival forms out of the deck and into the soul. So even when you don't play youth the greatest, it still does work for you, but at the same time there is just a slight bit of skill required to play youth, and of course a experienced player will be able to play around it and, you know, just do what needs to be done to actually win in the matchup. So we're looking like we should probably be calling something. Okay, we have this Sequana, and I think we definitely call something to that other rearguard circle, because otherwise you're just losing out on an extra 15k. Corneo, definitely not your ideal rearguard there. You would prefer like even you would prefer Vergosa, but literally anything else would be better. So it looks like that Spiral Cutie is just going to be serving as the other rearguard, the same one we added back off of the discard. So going to be swinging the Youthberk. I feel like the correct play is always to just take the first swing. We're going to see a critical trigger flipped over here, and then giving the powers of Corneo. So I'm going to be pushed to, oh, it looks like we're going to Spiral Cutie, and then the second check is going to be another critical trigger, so that's going to push me straight to 5, but thankfully I do actually hit a heal trigger here, so I am actually going to be able to stay at 4, giving my Vanguard another 10k. Might make things just a little bit easier to guard. We see the Revolt form full blast here, and I believe we are making misordered here. We saw him pay the cost for Youthberk Full Blast effect, which means that he should get drive +1, and then he proc the Sequana to reset it to drive 1. So theoretically, he should just have 1 drive here, but you know, this is a locals. I don't really care if you make mistakes like this. And just generally, by the way my opponent was playing, I'm pretty sure this was like his first time ever playing the deck, at least in a tournament, which is why he was making so many mistakes. But theoretically, you should have 1 drive here, but I just do not care. I would rather, you know, face my opponents, or basically face their decks doing what they're supposed to, than you know, discounting them just because they make a few small errors. But we do see a heal trigger there. Of course, I was pushed to 4, so that's not actually going to proc here. We're going to see a 33 attack here. Just going to guard with the 15k just because that is a good 15k guard. This other swing is swinging for 45, so thankfully I could actually guard this, but thankfully since I got that heal trigger, I don't have to, so I'm just going to opt to take it and just go to 5. Definitely not where you want to be, but at the same time, Messiah is a deck that can basically just stabilize itself after striding for the first time off of the draws. You see me discarding a habitable zone here to draw the card, and then I'm going to be discarding the stride fodder dragon in order to stride into the it's not Exilix, it is Amnesty Messiah. Of course, using the skill to draw a card, using Awaking to call itself out, and Soul Charging crit, which is kind of unfortunate because crits do win you the game, as I lock the Awaking and the Spiral Cutie, giving my Vanguard an extra 5k, which is not really relevant, but you know, it's always there to remember. Gonna be activating another Refurbishment Dock, kind of just doing its job, where it's a CB1 and then just cycle a card. Just looking for those pieces helps you dig, cycle, and you see me having a decently okay opening board here. I've got the Klein with the locked card in the back row. He is going to be at a 15. Gonna be swinging the Vanguard. Looks like we don't really have a good 5k shield there. That would have been a great intercept, but of course, when you're against something with removal, you don't have access to those intercepts. Klein is actually going to be getting another copy of Klein here as we swing the Arrestor, another 5k guard, but looks like we don't have a really good call target. I think we have a Sequana, but honestly, I respect like holding that in hand. Swinging the Amnesty, unlocking all 3 cards. Awakening is going to give the extra 10k to Klein, giving the extra 15k to that Arrestor Messiah for a total of 38. 38k Vanguard swing, and then these other 2 columns are still swinging for pretty big. Let's see, that Klein is at 20 plus another 10k, that's 30, and then the boost is a total of 40 right now. So just getting a heal trigger here, giving the power to the Klein, and then drive checking into 2 blanks. A little bit unfortunate because, you know, I do need to be able to survive another full blast turn, but I think at this point I already have a another PG in my hand, so I should be fine. Gonna be swinging the 35. I guess we're running low on shield because we decided not to guard that as we swing this other attack for, I believe, 50. And then looks like we're also just going to be taking that. And off the top, I don't see really a whole bunch of good things, but I'm going to opt to get a habitable zone there, mostly just because I can use it as an intercept if I really need it. And then, of course, unlocking 3 cards, but I only have 2 soul because I did use the habitable zone. So just going to be drawing 2 extra cards here. So Youthberk actually looking like it's in a little bit of a pinch here. We only have 1 rear guard, and looks like we're going to be activating that Gradius Gratitude, or whatever it's called, which is definitely a choice. I don't really know about playing that. I don't think you should play that in Youthberk. You do have ways to kind of get to your Persona rides anyway, so I don't really think playing the extra order is very necessary. It's just like another non-shield card, which is not really something you want to be doing. We see the Youthberk skill being used here, discarding a card and then checking the top 3. Going to be adding a Tempest to hand, and it looks like I think that was a trigger and another Persona ride there. Looks like we're moving the Carino back and probably going to be calling something in front of it. Ooh, calling a Persona ride and a copy of Tempest to just like be the attack. So it looks like we're going to try and finish things here, but I have way too many cards in hand for this to actually be finished, and OT is out. So realistically, all I have to really worry about is just like some surprise triggers. But we did see a bunch of triggers flipped during the last turn, a total of 3. So I'm feeling pretty confident as we see a Zest coming out of the drive check and another Persona ride. And so I'm just thinking to myself, oh, looks like things are over next turn because this man just drew into 2 non-shield cards. We do see another missequencing of the Youthberk there using the Sequana, and then of course using Sequana after the full blast counter blast, but you are supposed to use Sequana first. But he's going to be bot decking my Awakening, which is the correct play because it means that I can't use removal, and it does really limit my power just a little bit, as we see a heal trigger, which is very annoying for me because that puts him at 4 again. But at the same time, my next turn is going to be very explosive, so it doesn't really matter to me. I believe I'm also at 4 now. I think I got a heal trigger. Yeah, I got a heal trigger in that last turn, so I should be totally fine. Just swinging the other one. These are 46 and 48 respectively. The difference is just the extra 2k from the trigger as opposed to having an 8k boost. So I'm kind of deciding I should probably just take one of these, just conserve some cards in hand just in case I can't finish things next turn. And I figure the easiest thing to do is, you know, just to guard that 46 because that's an easy guard. Was at 25. I think I have two 20k shields in hand, the cat and a front trigger. Wait, is that 20? No, that's 35. So he's gonna be guard in front and a trigger. That should be 48, and that will be just enough. The unfortunate thing of boosting a grade 3 with a grade 1 is just kind of unfortunate. So, you know, we are kind of just reading the cards, and this Tempest is actually going to go at my Arrestor, which is definitely the correct choice. That is a very crucial piece for me, and you can't even finish it with the attack, so you might as well just kill it. But thankfully for me, I'm going to be discarding the Messiah to stride into the X-Lix Messiah, and probably just going to be finishing things off this turn. We saw, what is that? I think we saw 3 grade 3s coming out from the drive check. Going to be moving that habitable zone back. He is a booster now. Thankfully, I have another Arrestor, and I'm just going to be calling Stridefather Dragon, allowing me to soul charge. So if I don't finish things this turn, I do still have access to another draw. Front row is going to be getting another 10k thanks to the Crest ability. So I am looking at a total of, this is 25 off the first Arrestor attack, which is a 15k guard. And I think we saw one trigger off there. So realistically, if we want to be able to survive this, we would guard this. Hopefully we have a PG for the Vanguard, and then, you know, taking the, what is that, the Stridefather Dragon's attack. But then we still do have 2 more attacks to contend with afterwards, and they are an extra 10k. So this 25k is going to be a 35k swing next, and then the next attack is going to be 43 or 53 depending on whether or not I boost the first attack. And it looks like we only have 3 cards with shield value in our hand. That heal trigger that we drive checked, and I believe 2 other cards. So looks like we're going to be banking on a defensive there. We are actually going to be getting that critical trigger as a defensive there, meaning that this is a 33 attack. That is still a 15k guard, so we're going to need to guard that because obviously that is lethal. Be using the X-Lix Messiah here. I can only unlock 1 card, so I'm just going to be unlocking the Arrestor, restanding the Stridefather Dragon, and then giving the front row an extra 10k, as well as giving the Vanguard an extra critical here. And now we are down to just 2 cards with defensive value in our hand. So honestly, things are just over here. I think what you kind of have to do is put everything into guarding this Vanguard swing, because if you want to have a chance of healing out, you would theoretically need, you know, 2 heals. But you would prefer to not get hit with the crit. But although I guess in this case it doesn't really matter. It looks like that's a 1 to pass anyway. So I think honestly there's no point to guard this in this instance if you don't have enough to guard these other 2 swings, because you're going to need to rely on 2 heal triggers. So we're just going to opt to take the Vanguard swing, hitting into a front trigger, so making things extra poor, and the 6 damage is not going to be it. So that is going to be the end of the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.